featuring the thrilling adventures of
Dorks.
thrilling adventure of Henry Style, pounding action, and spine-tingling mystery.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Dorks. This is Comic Dorks episode 10, Big 10, Level 10, everybody. We're being Level 10. My name is Scott Johnson. I'm joined today by none other than Mr. Scott Kurtz. Hello, Scott Kurtz.
Hello.
Good to see you. Also, Steven Schleicher. Hello, Steven.
Hey, what's up?
And then Mark Spagnola. Hello, Mark.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. Look at everybody's here.
Word.
This feels good.
Yeah, Scott remembered this show. He's part of.
Hey, it's an Italian. When you're here, your family, all right? We had
He over there.
me and Schleicher won it last week. And, stuff happens to schedules, but it's always good to have everybody in the same room. And there's plenty to talk about this week, I think. Stuff to dive right into. Did anybody go to Denver Comic Con real quick? Was that a thing Scott Kurtz went to? No?
I didn't. You know what? There's a couple cons that I'm finding out about after the fact.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know there was a Denver Comic Con.
It's been going on for a couple of years now. One of my coworkers at my real world job went, and he said it was just packed, crazy packed on Saturday. And on Friday, they were, I don't think, prepared for the number of people that showed up. On Saturday, they ended up turning away 6,000 people who showed up and couldn't get in.
Were these pre-sold tickets? Were these people
No, they weren't
were
pre-sold. They were people that showed up to try to get in.
It seems like a problem you want to have if you're trying to grow.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's funny because it was not really on anybody's radar even last year. It was kind of Brian
Yeah,
Ibbett.
just came and went.
Brian Ibbett went to it. He said it was all right. He lives in Denver, so it was an easy go. And he said it was okay. But this year he said he went and he said it was just crazy. Way more like celebrity types. Way more like San Diego looking Comic-Con kind of things going on. The only thing that was weird is Stan Lee was scheduled and then canceled last minute.
Yeah, and then he showed up on the set of Spider-Man 3.
Yeah,
or Spider-Man 2.
Which is probably what he was doing, I'm guessing. Just his little weird cameo thing. But anyway, it seems like it's growing and kind of interesting. And Phoenix Comic Con happened since we last talked to Mark, and you went to that, yeah?
I was supposed to.
Oh, you didn't go? What happened?
It's the same thing here. Phoenix Comic Con is getting huge, and there's every year it's just better and better, and more cooler people are showing up, and it's a big spectacle. So, what happened is a baby and no sleep and stupid shit, and it was like we could sit home and actually recuperate, or we could go and it's hot and do the whole Comic Con thing. So we actually bailed, and I didn't go. So I'm kind of in retrospect when I kicked myself, but
that's all right. You still have an iPad signed by Stan Lee, don't you?
If someone didn't rub the crap off the back of it.
Kids, dude.
Exactly, yeah. But anyway, I was excited to go.
You should shellac it.
I should have, right?
Seal that thing in plastic.
That'll stick. But I wanted to see if it was any different than last year because it does keep growing.
Yeah.
I wonder, just to throw this out there, I wonder if the increase in attendance at a lot of these comic conventions isn't due to the big movies and how well they're doing. I mean, last year Avengers topped $1 billion, Iron Man 3 topped $1 billion already. It looks like Man of Steel is on track to top $1 billion very quickly. I wonder if any of that has a role in getting people out to some of these conventions, especially with a lot of the star power that shows up.
Well, you could also argue that the Comic Cons in general have just built reputations and have gotten bigger and louder, and it's cool to be a geek now, and
more mainstream awareness too.
Sure. So if you got a kid and you got a 10-year-old and you're trying to think of a cool Saturday and you live somewhere that's close to a con, it seems like the perfect match.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, so of all of us, Kurtz gets the most travel time in the year. Is that a con on your radar now because of all this hype, or does it not really?
No, actually, I mean, not to talk shit, but I heard a lot of bad things about Phoenix Comic Con. People who attended.
Really?
Yeah, Terry Moore, who does Strangers in Paradise and Echo, and he showed up to 2 panels he was supposed to be a part of and found out, no, you're not a part of the panel. Like, it was a real cluster F.
Jeez.
One of them
got asked to be on and didn't get on.
Yeah, and then he shows up and they're like, no, you're not on this panel.
Shit.
And there was a fire alarm tripped and people left and had to come back.
I did hear about that. Yeah.
Oh, man. Boy,
I heard some bad things about it.
Yeah.
But this was the year for me to miss them.
Well, you said it was all right last year, right? You had a good time.
Yeah, last year was fine.
It wasn't quite as crazy as it
No,
was.
it's one of those things where, like, I would never go to the Phoenix Comic Con because the idea of going to Phoenix in the summer is not appealing to me.
Why not? Come on.
It's only
beautiful.
It's only like 1,000 degrees.
No.
I got 106 reasons why not.
Hello? Oh no.
What? Did you lose us? Did you mute us? I think you muted us.
We hear him.
Yeah, we can hear you. We hear you, Scotty. Can you hear us? So we hear you. There you go.
Oh no, now it's catching up.
Oh, weird. Did your internet took a shite? You there?
He'll be here in 5 minutes.
Steven, you're here, right?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I got fiber installed at the home
Oh,
yesterday.
you
so-
did? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you bastard!
Yeah, it's great.
Feel good.
Oh yeah, and plus I'm saving like $60 a month
Are
from
you
where it was
kidding? Over
before.
where you were before? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Scott Kurtz, everybody.
Sorry,
Yeah,
the wife decided to start a video FaceTime upstairs with the new niece and killed my internet connection. Whoops.
Yeah, but I feel bad. That's a good quality thing to be doing. There's nothing wrong with that.
That baby ain't doing nothing right now.
That baby's not going anywhere.
Their baby can barely hold the fed up.
That's all
No,
good.
I like I said, I will avoid cons in Phoenix and Atlanta and hot states in the summer.
Yeah.
There's no need.
I don't love that either. I'm not a huge heat guy. Although I like Vegas. I like Vegas in the hot summer.
That's a dry heat though. That's a different.
Yeah, but so's the Phoenix heat.
Same as Phoenix.
Yeah, the Phoenix heat. I mean, you literally. I don't know where do you guys get your water? You still buying that off Idaho or something? What's going on down there?
Mine comes out of the hose and the tap. So.
Okay, cool. You're pretty much just concerned with the end point there, and who cares where it comes from. But it's so. I remember last time I was down there visiting my brother, and I just thought I was going to die. And so every time this rolls around, I think we should go down there. And Kim's like, "Yeah, we should." And then I go, "It's 110.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that."
Yeah, it is a dry heat, but you know what dry heat is? The same thing that you get when you open your oven and you stick your face in there. That's dry too.
That's
And
true.
Once you get to a certain temperature, hot is hot.
Yeah, it's also stinky when you do that in your oven, and it's like that in Phoenix in some places too.
It's true. It
Downtown.
smells like pee.
That's right. Pee and hobos. You said that in the way it sounded like you were going to defend the hobo pee. Say more.
Huh? Huh?
I still like using that occasionally. All right, well, let's get into the nitty gritty of the news and see what's what.
The stolen plans of the vibrator were destroyed, along with the only two criminals who knew how to operate it.
Action Comics #1, copy of this aged comic. How old is it now? 60 or let's see, what,
75
years old?
75.
Jeez, 38, 39 was it? 39.
38.
38 was it? All right. Should get my dates right.
Yeah, Superman 38, Batman 39, Wonder Woman #4 in 1940.
Dude paid 10 grand for a house in Minnesota. Found this inside the wall. Got in a fight with his in-laws somehow. I don't know what their deal was. Tore the back cover a little bit more than it was already aged.
Can you imagine?
Probably cut a third off the value by doing that, but it's still already fetching over 100 grand. And he'll more than make up his investment in that crappy house.
Now you buy 10 more houses.
Yeah, they were just going to demolish it, so it's not like, you know, he was just going to, I think he was just going to try to hawk it off to some development company for a slight profit, but to find that stuck in a wall somewhere, that's pretty awesome. And so I wanted to ask you guys, if you were examining your insulation of your $10,000 property, and you found your 1938 Action Comics #1 hidden in the wall, what would you do with it? Would you sell it, or would you hang on to it, or at the very least have it appraised? Like, what would you do?
I would have it inspected for asbestos first before I
And
go
then,
anywhere near it.
and then mouse poop.
Yeah.
Yeah, mouse poop.
Then I'd read it. Then I'd buy the X-ray glasses from the back. Then I'd
Yeah.
go take it in.
I'd definitely make some phone calls right away.
Mm.
You know, just because who knows? I wonder if the guy even had any idea what he had when he saw it.
Yeah,
In
probably.
the first
Well,
place.
that's a good point. Who knows? Maybe if he's fighting over his in-laws with it, and there at some point they had two hands on it, two grubby hands on it. That doesn't seem like they were playing their cards right. But Kurtz, would you sell it? Would you keep it?
I would appraise it,
Yeah.
and slab it if that doesn't ruin it. Of course, I don't think it does.
I don't think so.
No.
And then I would insure it,
Mm.
and I keep it because it's only going to go up in value. So
That's true, and if you can freeze it in time,
yeah,
best
and
you can.
insure it though. That's the important thing because if there's a house fire and I lose it, then there's no point in keeping it.
So this was
Well,
an
I mean,
investment property, or I mean, at $10,000, $100,000 comic book is something that this guy would want to sell, unless he's, like you said, he's doing something to turn it or flip it or do something with it
Well, my understanding was, and I could be wrong, and Stephen, correct me if I am, but I think the deal was is he paid $100 more for it than the city or something like that, and that's how he got it on auction.
Yeah, I don't remember the full story on that.
And the comic was in the wall.
Yeah,
It's in the wall, but
installation.
it's not a high grade. I mean, it's graded at a 1.5. It's
It
already
doesn't
been
matter.
slabbed.
Right.
Well, no, I mean, unless you're, if you're Nicolas Cage and you're trying to sell your Action Comics #1, his I think was a 7 or an 8 or something like that, and it was worth millions of dollars. This one at a 1.5, as Scott mentioned, is probably about $120,000. That's still, I mean, again, depending on if this guy needed the money or not, this is a pretty good buy.
Well, the funny thing is the article said that there was, I guess, the last one that had sold at auction it went for $2 million.
Yeah, that was a 5.6 or something like that, I think. Right?
How many are, we don't probably know this, but how many, do we know
Well,
how many are in existence now?
One more than what we thought there was.
Guess so, dude.
I'm going to have to go do a quick search. I think there was less than 20 of them in existence still.
Okay. Wow. I would love it.
I'm just trying to think of the circumstances that would result in a comic book being inside the wall, and I'm thinking back to my house that I grew up in, and I hope nobody ever tries to renovate that. They might find like a porno magazine or something
That's right.
I was hiding from my mom, so I put it in the wall.
Some old like Bush Quarterly or some weird thing from your childhood.
Totally.
Jammed all in there.
That was my favorite. But you wonder, like, is this a kid hiding a comic book from his mom, or like, why would a comic book end up in the wall?
That isn't. There's probably some really, well, maybe it's not that interesting, but there's some story behind this that'd be cool to figure out.
According to Ask.com, it is believed there are about 100 copies.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're but not all accounted for though, right? Or maybe I don't know.
Private collections, ones that have been known, some that have gone through auctions. I mean, it seems like now we're hitting about, I don't know, an Action Comics or a Detective or a Amazing Fantasy 15. Seems like we're hitting one of those a year on an auction somewhere.
Well, okay. So here's how my brain thinks. If I owned this, if I had one of these, no matter what the rating, 1.5, I don't care how low it is, I would worry. I do what Scott says. You insure it, you protect it, you do all that. But if you're going to keep it, you better be willing to like crank up all your own security. It's like suddenly you're a target because you've got one of these like the hottest things you could ever collect in your house. And while they're here, they'll just go ahead and take your other expensive shit.
Well, I mean, that's what happened to Nicolas Cage. I mean, remember, he had a whole bunch of comics, including one of the Action Comics, and somebody came in to do some housework, saw it sitting there. I don't know how he got in his safe or if he had it on display or whatever, but they walked off with it. And he only just recently, I think in the last year or two, got it back.
Yeah, they found it or something happened, right?
Yeah.
Well, all right. Good luck to everybody involved. And Superman just keeps on. It's nice timing, too. You got Man of Steel right around the corner.
Nice timing indeed, you say.
Suspicious.
How weird. Let's see, more DC news. DC pricing policy on digital comics now in place. This is good. Now, this is down from what, Steve? It used to be a... what was the deal?
No.
I think
this
it
is
may
not
have
a good
misread
deal.
this.
Oh, I thought it was the other way. I thought we were getting a deal.
When DC Comics announced that they were going to digital firsts, or same as a day-and-date publishing, they announced that, hey, we're going to keep the price, the same price as what you pay at the comic book store at $2.99 or $3.99 or whatever it was. And then after a month release on the Comixology site, they would drop it by $1. So $2.99 comics become $1.99 comics. And there were a lot of people who were saying, hey, I can wait a month to read that Batman or that Superman or that Action Comics. No problem for $1.99.
Sure.
Well, just a few days ago, people jumped in to buy their May books. And they're like, hey, Comixology, how come the price hasn't dropped? And Comixology said, hey, DC changed their policy, and now you have to wait 8 weeks before the price drops.
What? Why would that? Well, you know what that means. That means probably too many people were waiting a month, and now 2 months is too long to wait. So
a month is nothing.
A month is really nothing. Yeah. And there could have, and I don't know, there could be a lot of outcry from the retailers that the publishers aren't doing enough to protect them and keep them afloat. And so, hey, here's a gesture. All these people that are going to digital, we'll stretch this out another month so there's a greater incentive to go back to the comic book store. Or it could just be simple greed. I mean, you are making a third of the price or the third of the cover price just because you're going through the digital and you're not dealing with paper, you're not dealing with shipping, you're not dealing with a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. Apple gets a third, Comixology gets a third, and the publisher gets a third.
What is the reason that this is so different than the way Marvel handles their stuff digitally? Just in terms of the pricing, like for instance with Marvel, you're starting at $3.99. At least I'm using Spider-Man as one of the only examples I can give. You don't get a price drop until like 7 months later. So I think if you go back to, let's say, Superior, actually it would be back into Amazing Spider-Man.
Right.
Toward the end of that series, at issue 697, the price drops to $199. So it drops $2. But you got to go all the way back to November 2012 to get that. So like Marvel's policy is way worse than what DC's doing.
Well, it seems like their policy is more. Argue with this. You can tell me if I'm crazy, but it seems like their policy is more geared to. You can get it this way if you want it, and you have to want to wait a long time. I guess that's an option. But really, we'd like you to get an unlimited subscription. We'd like you to come do that with us. Now, I know you don't get day and date with that, but I feel like Marvel's ultimate goal, and therefore whoever cares at DC or at Disney's goal, is to eventually get it to the point that they are the place you get it somehow. It's not, there is no middleman. They don't like having Apple and Comixology in the mix. They'd really like to be their own thing. They don't know how to do that yet or what to do to make that happen. But I think they don't care about this short term as much. I think DC did and does. I just think they were probably just getting dinged in a month more than they wanted, and they thought 2 months. All right, well maybe that will be. I thought it was the other way around. I thought it went from 2 to 1, so I've got this all backwards in my head.
Man, I'd really like to see some data on this, because the thing that pisses me off about it is that this is. I can't imagine that day and date bites too much into.
I can't imagine that either. And that's the bad thing, is no one will release actual numbers. Now, of course, we can get Jim Zob on the line, and he would tell us how much he's selling. Through Image, that would give us kind of an adjustment, but
I can tell you how much I'm selling through Image. It's shit on a shingle. But what I'm talking about is, if let's hypothetically, if day and date sales of a digital comic for, say, the latest Adventures doesn't really bite into sales of the print copy, same copy of the same issue of Adventures, then that digital sale is a tertiary income stream for Marvel. It's not even secondary, because the trade paperback that they're going to collect that thing into is secondary. It's a tertiary income stream that they're getting in advance. So they have room to play, because I can't imagine that the cost involved in putting these comics on Comixology is anything but nominal for them.
Yeah, it's going to be small. Yeah, probably right.
So I think greed is the answer.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And I forgot, somebody had posted this on Twitter earlier in the month, I think it was Publishers Weekly or something, had actually done the study and showed that the publisher actually makes a larger profit margin when they sell stuff electronically than they do by going a direct route. And this is book publishers, not comic book publishers, but I'm going to bet that the same kind of math lines up, because of the shipping and distribution and printing costs eats out of their part of the pie. And if they're doing it electronically and they can keep more of that pie themselves, then it's a money grab.
I'm sure that that's true, but here's the thing. Okay, call it greed or call it business, smart or not, but they're basically saying, I'm sure this is what they're doing. They've seen data. The data suggests that if you are really into Marvel and you're also into the brave new world of digital consumption, you're buying day and date and you don't care that it's an extra $1 or $2. You're just doing it because you love that book and you can't wait to get it, and you really prefer this new distribution method. If they see enough of that going on, no motivation at all to cut it, more than 7 months later. Why would they? Everybody's been willing to pay it. If that's what the large numbers show, and this helps lessen the sting of the third from Apple and the third from Comixology and so on.
Saying they're going to lower the price of an issue of a comic 8 months after it comes out is the same thing as saying they're not going to lower it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's the problem with comics, is that when it comes to floppies, and I guess this is the digital version of a floppy, no, you can't fucking sell it after it's been on the shelf for a month.
It goes to the dollar bin, the 50
goes
cent bin, the quarter bin.
It goes to the quarter bin or into the back issue thing, and the comic book shops are stuck with it. So this is them saying, or DC saying, we're not going to ever sell it for cheaper, because no one's buying it for cheaper. So they might as well just not do it.
Yeah, we can call it. Some are going to say it's nefarious or weird or whatever, but I think it's just them saying, well, we're not. It's not a problem. Why are we making this big cut? It's not really increasing sales. People who really want stuff are buying it week to week anyway, or month to month. So
They're cutting off their nose to spite their face, though, because if they would just lower the price, they'd sell
Yeah,
so
so
much
more.
more.
oh,
Yeah.
I completely.
And-
I mean, you look
and
at Monkey Brain Comics, for example. Their stuff all sells for 99 cents.
And I love it.
Yeah, and I'm
Well,
not saying
look
that they're
what
selling
happened-
more
look
than
what
DC,
happened.
but
Look what happened when Marvel offered 700 for free. It
Mhm.
wrecked it.
Yeah, it destroyed everybody involved. You're
You know?
totally right. Like I am so more into like issues of The Killer and some of these other weird indies that I'm picking up lately. Not just because they're weird indies and I like that anyway, but because they're a freaking buck and it's this low entry into something that I am going to end up buying that whole collection, that whole volume 2 and 3, or I'm going to buy them all individual issues and even pay more than I should, or whatever. I'm going to spend more in their dollar store than I am in their freaking Macy's, DC Marvel store. Equivalent, and that's that. You're right. It is backwards thinking, but I just think they have numbers that tell them they don't have to be forward thinking yet. That the time has not come for them to make the big cut. That's all. So
It'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, like we talked about in the past, about this being something you don't actually own. There's nothing tangible here. You're renting the access to this thing. So I mean, so as soon as people
No, it pisses me off. Every time I go and I buy a comic, it's a tax. It's them saying, no, we don't sell digital comics cheaper. We are punishing you. We'll let you read it on your iPad, but you have to pay the same price as a regular comic.
Yeah, totally.
The end.
Yeah.
We're not going to sell you another product. We're not going to sell you a digital product. And we're not even going to sell it to you because you don't even own it.
Nope, you can borrow it.
Yeah.
I don't like any of this.
Guys, it really is like if your buddy bought a copy of Avengers and you said, can I read that? And he goes, yeah, if you pay me $3.99 for it.
Basically, yeah. We got Comixology as our buddy, but we don't really like him that much. Like he doesn't
And
give us any other
I get
value.
angrier and angrier about it. Like, I am using Comixology a lot since I started doing this podcast because I can't make it out to the shop all the time. And if I'm going to spend the money either way, at least I save the gas money. And whenever I open Comixology now and see my reading list, which is not the same as looking at my bookshelf of trades that's the stuff that I love and I'm keeping. When I'm looking at my reading list, I just get, the bigger it gets, the more pissed I get. all new Bendis, all new X-Men's on here, I want to fucking murder someone with stuff.
Yeah, it's irritating.
And now that I've read Hawkeye on Comixology, I'm pissed. Because I don't have the trade to reference or go look at, and I don't want to spend the same amount. I have to buy it twice.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's the stinker. So if you read a bunch of experimental stuff, and you're like, that was really cool, but yeah, it's not gonna take I'm never gonna buy a collection of this, but it was a fun read.
Yeah,
that's fine. But when you stumble into something like Hawkeye, which turns out to be one of the best series this year, and you go, well, shit. I do want that on the shelf. I want a big hardback thing. I want to have it on the coffee table. I want to show all my friends. Go spend the money again because you can't do anything.
You know what's weird is conversely, I want the opposite for video. Like I just started watching. I'd never seen Deadwood. I watched